Do you want an answer to your most burning question, whatever it is? Then I invite you to try this approach. So, I'm Danielle. One thing that I do is I work with people to connect with their discernment, with their clarity, and their intuition so that they can navigate their life with a lot of clear empowerment in the choices they make. Now, I use these approaches a lot when I'm working both with businesses and with individuals. A lot of lack of clarity comes from, on some level, not believing that you can have what you want. Because for the most part, we're fairly clear human beings. At our core level, we understand what we want. And when we drop any outdated beliefs long enough to allow ourselves to move in a natural way, we find ourselves moving in accordance with opportunities and circumstances that show up in our lives. So, one of the big things that I help people do is I help them target unhelpful patterns or target old beliefs. I help them bring those up for review, and then we open up a little bit of space inside to see what might be even more true and possible. Now, what I was going to share with you in this video is some of the ways that you can start doing that for yourself right now. Because one of the most powerful ways you can move through life is with self-awareness. So being aware of yourself, being aware of the thoughts, the patterns, and the feelings you go through. Discernment, the ability to choose between what's going to lift you up and what's going to bring you down. And then decisive all-in choice. So once you've discerned what lifts you up, what doesn't lift you up so much, the ability to then make a choice in which you put all of your energy into what you are choosing and moving forward with. These three keys together help not only you connect with the things you want in life, but help bring such a powerful magnetism to you. Because people can very much sense when a person is aligned in their thoughts, actions, and deeds. There is a certain kind of magnetic quality that is connected with a person who is moving within their life with purpose. And we'll often see that in people who are running certain businesses or who are holding positions of certain power. And it's one of the reasons a lot of people want to emulate these kinds of people. But what I want to share with you is you don't necessarily need to be a business person or a person in a position of leadership. You can hold this kind of empowered energy as a mother, as an employee, as someone who is just living their life. Because the most empowered thing any of us can do is live according to our truest resonance, to live and build and move in a life that is aligned to who we truly are, to what speaks to our soul and makes us sing. There is so many resources, books, and materials out there on how to live your purpose, on how to live your passion. And for many of us, we think that this is some kind of construct. We think this is something that we can build in a business or in a relationship or in an idea. What I have found so far is true purpose and passion comes from the moment to moment ability to live life in the way that is aligned with who you naturally are. And it's a way of living that is both honoring who you are, but always brings yourself to your edge of growth and potential in like a cycle. I'm going to be careful with the word always. I threw an always out there. I would say, I'm going to mend this to say, you find yourself coming back to a new edge of growth and expansion. That feels more resonant to me. Because as humans, we really do live in cycles. We aren't these linear beings. We're these cyclical, ever expanding beings that go through these iterative growth like a spiral, right? We go through these seasons, we go through these cycles of change, and every time we go through a cycle, there may be some familiarities. But if we choose to really live according to our truth, if we choose to keep meeting that edge and just take one step beyond, we find ourselves adding onto our whole pattern. So coming back to the core of what I shared at the beginning of this video about discernment, about tuning in, about focus, and how you can make more clear choices in your life. It comes first to the willingness to be completely honest with yourself in this present moment. And that's an interesting task to ask. I say this as someone who has used a lot of stories in the past. I've used a lot of stories and a lot of things in my life to try and help me feel better about who I was and where I was at in life. I found it very convenient, to build a business and then feel really good about how that business was doing and to use it to help me feel like a worthwhile and worthy human being. Or I would do that with a relationship. And the challenge with that is then I'm starting to rely on those external things to validate my sense of well-being and who I am. Now, if you do this, this is not a judgment. Many of us do this, and, it's a very easy thing to find ourselves in time and time again. But as we become more self-aware, we start being able to recognize when we are placing our power, our energy, our sense of worth and well-being outside of ourselves. And what that does is it gives us an opportunity to come back within ourselves. And here's the cool part. It helps us be so much more effective at whatever the external thing is. Because as long as you need an external thing to supplement you somehow, you are more likely going to come and make choices at some point or another from a place of fear or from a place of scarcity or lack. And that includes in your businesses, that includes in your relationships, that includes in anything that you would like to externally play with. One of the things that I do in my world and in my reality, I consult a lot of businesses and business leaders on how to navigate and build their businesses, not only in profitable ways, but in ways that are going to be in alignment with their vision and their values and what they really want to amplify in the world. It's something that I very much love doing. And what I find is at certain points in the growth, when the business is experiencing a challenge, we're often finding whoever is at leadership, this is a leading edge of growth for them. And the more that they are able to not make what's happening in the business personal, the more the business itself has room to navigate what the challenge is, whether that's through trying different strategies, whether that's through revamping something or stepping into a new model or adding a new model or expanding something. This is why we say keeping the ego out of the business can really help it flourish. Another very powerful tool that I was mentioning earlier is the ability to discern. Now, your discernment is how you make choices. Now, that discernment in and of itself can be its whole thing, can be its whole video. But let's at least start by talking a little bit about discernment, which is on a very simple level. Discernment starts with first the willingness to be completely honest with yourself. And then when you ask yourself a question, does this resonate with me? Shall I make this choice or this choice? Shall I step forward? When I am making a choice from my most healthy, my most aligned place, my truest place of who I am, the place where I am operating from full knowing that life is working out for me and with me, do I make this choice or this choice? I make this choice and make this choice. And what I do is I will often feel each choice. This is what I do. I feel each choice in my body. And the very simple, and you may feel this as well. You might have felt this when you make a choice. Sometimes you make a choice, and you're like, ooh, and you feel like clenched up. Or sometimes you make a choice, and you're like, oh my gosh, that feels so amazing, right? And you might go, well, but how do I know that's the real one or not? That's the real one. Get out of your head. Okay, it's not a choice that's made in your head. Anytime you have to try and convince yourself of something, you're still operating in the head. Your knowing comes more from here. I'm pointing to my heart, my gut, like down here. And you can see here, there's like kind of like a trifecta going on. You have your heart, gut, your third eye, your perceptive eye here. And when all of them are working, when they're working as a team, then you can see, you can receive, and you can feel. Okay, see, receive, and the gut is feel. And by processing the information or the question or feeling the initial response that comes through, you have your answer. Now, for many of us, part of the challenge is really being able to embrace the answer, especially when it's one that we think that we don't want, or it's going to be really inconvenient, or it's telling us something that we just maybe don't want to hear on some level. That's very understandable. Which brings us to the next point, is the ability to go all in with your choice. And for this one, what I recommend, that one of the most powerful tools that I recommend is I recommend being able to be in a state of a lot of love and self-forgiveness, because this is around the place where people might start to judge themselves. And a very powerful practice is a lot of love, compassion, self-forgiveness. In fact, we might make a video on self-forgiveness, because it's not like oh, forgive me. Self-forgiveness is actually an incredibly empowering, liberating experience. It's one that takes true power, in order to authentically forgive oneself. And as you do that, and I know that you have the power to do so, especially if you are watching at this point, I absolutely have every confidence that you are able to embody this. So as you go through the process of self-forgiveness, it can just be simple. I love you. Please forgive me. I'm grateful. Thank you. Then the next step is to go all in with the choice that you make. And now this is not about making the right choice or wrong choice. It's about giving yourself permission to go all in. If you don't feel ready to go all in with a choice, then ask yourself, okay, then what choice am I making right now? Because even if your choice is a choice to wait or pause or digest, and be okay, then I'm going all in with the choice to pause. Even doing nothing is a choice. The more that you go all in with the choice without judgment, the more you are empowering yourself, and the more that your decisions have power behind them. Because then when you make a decision, it will be so. Even if in the beginning your decision is simply, okay, I'm deciding to watch this TV program. I'm deciding to eat this bar of chocolate. I am deciding to sit down right now. But you're owning that decision. You are going all in with it. You were like, I am here. I am luxuriating. Here I am. This is what I'm doing. And if you feel self-judgment come up, then you forgive that. You can listen to it. You can reflect on it. But you forgive that. You don't need to be at war with yourself, because if you are feeling at war with yourself, all that's happening is you just have different parts of yourself that are attempting to take care of you that haven't been in conversation yet. Being at war with yourself is there are different parts of you that are attempting to take care of you that are currently not communicating clearly within each other. And that's okay, because you are aware of them now. You are aware that you have the ability to self-forgive, and you are already on the path to coming into cohesion with multiple parts of yourself that are all here ultimately to support you, that are stepping into more clear communication so that you can work more harmoniously and synchronicity both within yourself and outside of yourself. And boy, that's inspiring. So we went over these steps to bring yourself into clarity. Now, another thing that I do, at least at the time of making this video, is I do these precision clarity sessions. And what I do is I actually sit and I focus with you for an hour with precision clarity. One of the things that I do is I have multiple tools and skill sets that I use that I've honed over the years. And when we're in a session, you can ask any question you want, and the clarity will come through. Now, what's interesting about these sessions is it's not just about pulling information through, because I do use forms of intuition, forms of reading, forms of expanded awareness. Active listening, I will listen and I will reflect back to you patterns that you may not be seeing. And we will also have the opportunity to receive practical steps for you to take in order for you to actually embody whatever it is that is the most important thing for you right here, right now. Now, at the time of watching this video, if that is something that interests you, I encourage you to check the description. At this present moment, it may have a link to explore creating a call with me. There's a precision session. If you're watching this video at a later time, it may have a link for another tool and resource for you to do something similar. In any and all cases, I very truly hope that this video has helped you connected you with your empowerment at a deeper level. And that if it has been helpful, please feel free to leave a comment, to like or subscribe, or to share with anyone that you think is going to really feel empowered by this message as well. I'm so grateful to have this time with you today, and I look forward to connecting more soon.